It's an earn route. I think that's it though for the quest, right? Yep, now I can go back to Hermaeus Mora. I've gathered every soul from each of the 10 races from Hermaeus Mora. I should return to his shrine. Let's go back to his shrine. I can get rid of Sundercliff Watch. We got Deep Scorn Hollow.
You have served me well, and I am pleased. I give you this, the Oghma Infinium. Knowledge given by me to Xerxes is recorded within.
Oh, Xerxes.
Read it and gain knowledge of yourself. Go now, learn, and remember.
Hermaeus Mora was pleased with the souls I brought him. He has rewarded me with the Oghma Infinium. Alright, cool. That is officially the last Daedric Shrine quest. Good stuff. Alright, I gotta go home. Drop off some things. I think, let me see, I did Deep Scorn Hollow already, right? I think I did, let me see. Yeah, it was just a tutorial, it's funny. Was it after? Oh yeah, Deep Scorn Hollow. So I did Deep Scorn Hollow. I can close that one out. Then there's Dunbarrow Cove. That would be the last one, I think. So the Oghma Infinium is a book which is obtained upon completion of Hermaeus Mora's Daedric quest. When you read the book, it increases 3 skills and 2 attributes by 10 points each. Permanently, which skills and attributes depends on which of the 3 paths you choose when you use it. You may only choose one path, then the book disappears. The choices are as follows. The Path of Steel increases speed and strength attributes, and then your blade, blunt, and heavy armor. The Path of Shadow increases your agility and speed attributes, and then your light armor, security, and sneak skills. And then the Path of Spirit increases your intelligence and willpower attributes, and then your conjuration, destruction, and restoration skills. Skills can be increased above the usual maximum of 100 points. This is of limited use, however, because skill increases over 100 do not grant special abilities and usually do not increase damage / armor rating / spell effectiveness, etc. You are able to gain extra levels if the Oghma Infinium raises major skills. But as enemies scale with your level, going above your natural maximum level result in your character becoming less powerful compared to the world, and is generally inadvisable. Using this book, all attributes except endurance, personality, and luck, but only 2 of them per character depending on which path you choose, can be raised above 100 at most. 2 at most 110 with a corresponding increase in all derived values, such as magicka, running speed, or carrying capacity. Huh. The text inside is identical to the text in the Mysterium Xerxes. Although your attributes are increased by 10, you are not notified of the increases in the upper left of your display in the same way as you are for the skill increases. This is because the game handles the attribute changes differently. It checks what your current attribute is, then adds 10 to it. It is possible to benefit from the Oghma Infinium by leaving it until you have maximized the attributes of the path you want to choose. At any time before your attributes are maximized, it is possible to keep leveling and raise them, though lowering your skills, so reading the book is of limited use before then. If the skills raised by the Oghma Infinium are major skills to you, then they count to raise your level. This means that if more than one of the skills raised are your major skills, you will raise your level more than once. If this happens, only the first level increase receives the attribute bonus that you get per level as normal. The second or third level increases only allow +1 attribute gains, however, this can be exploited to give you an extra few levels when you have otherwise maximized your level. The Oghma Infinium is considered a quest item and cannot be removed from your inventory, except by giving it to Martin in Blood of the Daedra or reading it. If a skill or attribute is increased to 255, what? Either by exploiting Feldu or the console and use the Oghma Infinium, it will automatically loop back to 0. With the message, you now have a basic understanding of the skill shown if a skill is affected. Damn. Okay. That's interesting. So I can get rid of Hermaeus Mora. Mora's Soul Trap is not a true Soul Trap spell. It does not trap creatures in standard Soul Gems, and it cannot be used to create Black Soul Gems. Furthermore, even though standard Soul Trap spells are in the School of Mysticism, Mora's Soul Trap is in the School of Alteration, and will give you Alteration skill points when used. Alright. Okay, so next I want to do the Dunbarrow Cove quest, which is the final DLC related quest that I have. This one I don't have in my questing journal at the moment, but I do know how to get to it. So we have to travel to Smuggler's Cave underneath Anvil Castle. Which is right here. I may have actually been there already, I'm not sure. It would appear that there is a cave that leads under Castle Anvil and might be worth a look. So normally in the old 360 version of the game, when you started the game, you will receive a message. Centuries ago, a great battle took place in Anvil Bay. In the battle, the legendary pirate Toradon ap Dugal, the captain of the infamous Black Flag, was defeated by the first Count of Anvil. Rumors have been circulating of a hidden underground cavern beneath Castle Anvil. If the rumors are to be believed, then the final resting place of Captain Dugal and his ship have been uncovered. I should investigate these rumors as soon as possible. So, here's Smuggler's Cave. Iron Nirnroot? Where? The heck is it? Oh. There's nothing really in here. The locked room. Need a key. Oh, we gotta go this way, okay. Steel cutlass. I followed the rumors and found Dunbarrow Cove and the remains of the Black Flag. However, the caverns are overrun by the skeletons of the pirates who perished here. I'll have to put them all to rest before I can begin to refit the cove. Huh? Where is this skeleton at? He's like above me. Is he not? Yeah. Where the heck is this guy now? I think now he's above me. Master Forge Steel Cutlass, alright. .26 damage, damn! That's pretty good, wow. That's close. I do think it's one-handed too. It's a fine steel cutlass. Huh. Oh, look at them. This is cool. Look at the skellies. Hiya! The Master Forge, nice. Ooh, another one. Where's this guy at? What's up? Fine one, that's it. I'm guessing the captain is inside the boat. Wonder what weapon he has. Oh wait, before I go inside there, what's over here? The captain's quarters. Oh, this is where he... Oh, yeah. There was a wall there instead of a black hole. You noticed me, Captain Dugal. Also a Master Force Steel Cutlass, that's it. I've destroyed the last of the undead pirates and claimed Dunbarrow Cove as my own. The cavern and the hulk of the Black Flag are in terrible condition after hundreds of years underground. I should speak with Dahlia Rackham of the Clarabella. She will be able to assist me in hiring a crew to turn Dunbarrow Cove into a suitable base of operations. We got Captain Dugal's journal here, which I am going to read. So let's see, part 1. Third era 286 or thereabouts. I'm finding it unlikely that anyone will be finding this journal, but if they do, know that here be written the last words of the great Captain Toradon ap Dugal, Scourge of the Abyssinian Sea, Terror of the Gold Coast, Cutthroat of the Hunting Bay, and Lord Captain of the Red Saber, the finest band of buccaneers and pirates ever to sail Tamriel. I ain't a man with much use for words. I ain't never been to no academies, and I never wrote no books. Words ain't never earned me no gold, so they is worthless to me. That's why you have quartermasters and first mates. But I'm gonna be setting my last thoughts down here on paper, cause I ain't got much time left here, and it's every old man's right to have his words heard. Now, me business was fighting, sailing, and looting. I became a leader of sailing men, the most feared in history, or so they tells me. Now, before ye be getting ahead of yourself, Let me be warning ye that me tale does not end well, as I'm sure you can see from wherever you found me rotten bones in this god's cursed cavern. I was born in a little town on the north coast of Skyrim called Dunbarrow. Me mother was a wench, and me father was a right bastard. The only thing that either of 'em ever did for me was doing me the favor of selling me off to a sea captain when I were 9. That captain, he taught me everything I'd ever need to know about sailing, and a few things about the rest too. You see, he were a smuggler, and he taught me all about smuggling and avoiding the Imperial Navy as he run the skooma route from Daggerfall to Vivek. Shame he were caught and hung. He were as close to a daddy as this old pirate ever knew. Closer'n that bastard what sold me off ever were. That's for sure. After the captain were hung, I got around Hammerfell a lot. I fell in with a few crews here and there, and after time I got myself hired on as midshipman on Captain Collada's rig. Of course, Colladas was a drunkard, and the damn fool ran his own ship aground in Anvil before we could any real pirating done. So embarrassed were he that he drunk himself to death in one of the piss-hole taverns in this flat little seawater town. So there I were, in a backwater port when the war against the usurper broke out. I were out on hire with a rickety tub and her worthless rot of a captain when the Imperial Navy stole every pirate ship in port to go and fight their war. We was coming back into dock when we heard about it. Now, only a fool doesn't bite when he smells blood in the water, and that captain of ours was gonna hand his rudder over to the Navy. The rest of us, well, we didn't so much like that. We cut his throat and tossed his worthless carcass to the depths for Hermaeus Mora to feast on. The rest of us put keel to this mudhole and broke for the nearest cove to lay low for a while. Now, the thing that I learned about war is that it's profitable for just about everyone except for the poor bastards that actually have to go and fight it. While the Navy were busy putting down the revolution, they were too busy to worry about a bunch of pirates running up and down the Gold Coast. And even better for us, the Navy was needing a stream of supplies up in High Rock to fight and didn't have the ships to escort them. In case you didn't know, in case you don't be knowing, cargo vessels without escort is a pirate's best friend. In just a couple of years, I had every buccaneer from here to Valenwood flying under me flag. We had dozens of ships and crew, and more men joined on every day. Soldiers and sailors, cast-offs from the war, escaped prisoners. They were the best cutthroats and sons of whores that a pirate captain could ever wish for. It brings a tear to me eye to think of them all. But even better than the men were the ships. Captured navy cutters, refitted privateer galleons, even had a few of them Bosmer ships with the funny living sails in my fleet. The finest ship I say for myself, the Black Flag. You'll find her rotting hull around here. She don't look like much now, but I can tell you that in her day, there weren't no vessels she couldn't outrun. All these men and ships, we called ourselves the Red Saber. The merchant ships called us Death on the Seas. We gots to be so feared that most crews just abandoned ship when they seen our flag on the horizon. With no navy to stop us, Captain Turandan Dugal and the Red Saber was known all over the East. Now I ain't one to brag, but the Empire had a bounty on me of 40,000 coins. Now that's something to be proud of. Of course, the poor bastards could never collect on it, Anvil being the wretched den that it is, and most sailors there worked for me anyhow. The Legion could never get no one to give me up. I wish those days could have lasted forever, but you know how it is, friend. Ain't nothing good can ever last. I ain't got much time left. We're sure we had plenty of food down here. It lasted for years, but all this time in the wet and the dark, I got something nasty growing in me. What a terrible way to die. Not on the end of an enemy's cutlass, but because of some damn sickness. No seafaring man should die like this. At least I can still hear the water. But I was telling the story of how I got mine, weren't I? I cursed the day that the Cameron usurper died at the war. That war ended, because it was the day that Commodore Faisal Umbernox turned his attention to the Red Saber. A couple of months after the war, that fat, pompous bastard decided to come down here to Anvil and take up port in my town, looking to break up the Red Saber. The Emperor gave him whatever he asked for to campaign against us. despite the coffers being empty from the war in High Rock. When Umbernox couldn't get what he needed from my men in Anvil, he set out looking all over the Abyssinian Sea for the Black Flag. There are hundreds of islands in the Abyssinian, and he landed a crew on each one. He rooted out my men when he could find them, hung those who weren't willing to go peacefully, and jailed those who laid down arms. No matter for many ships and men it cost him, he kept coming with more and more. We couldn't never get ahead of him, and we could never mount a counterattack. It took him 4 years and a hell of a lot of ships, but that sea rat finally tracked me down. It were me own fault anyway. If I never made the mistake I made, he'd have died before he found me. But a man has to stand up for his mistakes, no matter if it cost him. Besides, ain't like I'll be fooling you, since you're likely staring at me bones as you're reading this. Umbernox had his main force out of port following a lead that I planted. I set sail back to Anvil, hoping to catch him off guard, capture the boats he left behind, and fight him with his own ships in Anvil Bay. Ha! Can you imagine the look on his pig's face if it would have worked? I thought I'd finally get the Whoreson to show his face in a proper fight. I should have known, but he had men waiting there for me. We fought like hell, but we were trapped in the bay. The Navy men set the town on fire to keep us from fleeing onto land. I'm sure that the fine citizens of Cyrodiil didn't weep for the torching of a town of thieves. The main force of Imperial dogs held us until Umbernox showed up in his flagship. Umbernox fought me to the last ship, and in the end, the bay was filled with sunken and burning boats. If I weren't fighting for me life, I'd have probably thought it were beautiful. So the Black Flag and Umbernox's rickety tub were the only ones that were still floating and fighting when dawn came. So I did what any pirate with sense would do. I tried to run. Now understand, I'm a right bastard in my own way. I'm a pirate, murderer, a thief, and certainly ain't never believed in a fair fight. But there's a line and an unspoken code between sailing men, and Umbernox went too far. He had mages on his ship. Mages ain't never been allowed on my boats. They're no good, bad luck, and I don't trust them. Turns out I was right. I cut across the south side of the bay, along the huge cliff wall that used to be there. I had me helmsman stay as close as he could to the cursed cliff. I could hear those mages from the deck of Umbernox's ship yelling some nonsense into the wind. A few rocks fell onto my deck, a few more, and then the whole bloody cliff came crashing down on top of me. Now don't worry, I didn't die just then. The cliff collapsed around the ship, making this damned cavern better than it just fell on us. But no, it sealed the Black Flag, her crew, and me under tons of rock. We were buggered. I seen my own blood more times than I could ever count, but seeing the ragged mess that just came up out of me lungs just now is the only time I've ever been afraid of it. I guess I should have been getting to the last bit of me story. Me and me crew were trapped down here, never to see the light again or some rot. We tried digging out, we tried blasting out, we tried calling to the Nines and the Daedric Princes for help. Nothing worked. Some of the men went crazy when we figured out that there was no getting out, but most of us just accepted what fate had dealt us. We made the hulk of the Black Flag into the best home that we could, and tried making a life of it down here. We had plenty of stores with us, and since most of the crew were killed in the fight, it was more than enough to go around. I will tell you, though, that you ain't known suffering until you ate nothing but hard rations for 20-some years. Damn. All the pain I ever caused anyone has been paid back to me tenfold, and having to eat the same filth every day for the whole time I've been down here. Then Grim died off. Grim was the first, and one by one, the boys had been dropping off. They all got the same sickness I ended up with. We buried him when we could, threw him in the water when we didn't have the strength to bury them. Finally, we just made him walk to the far side of the cavern a couple days before the sickness ran its course. I'm the last, and I suppose that makes sense. The great Captain Dugal defeated by faithful Umbernox and buried alive forever. I wonder what became of Anvil. Probably let it burn and swept the ashes into the sea. Umbernox probably went back to the Imperial City to pat himself on the back and be rewarded with lands and titles. Like I said way back in the beginning, I don't expect nobody to ever read this, but if by chance someone does find my carcass down here in this pit, do an old seaman a favor, track down whatever descendants that fat old sack Umbernox may have, and tell him that Toradan up Dugal says hello. That's funny. Alright, let's see what's inside this ship. That's it? Okay. Wait, there's apparently another... Oh. I think this is the very bottom. Yeah. Alright, so let's get the hell out of here. That's cool.